we are now live. Hello, everybody. You can look at Sasha's butt. There's Sasha's butt.
Of course, that's what the cat wants, because the cat always wants to make sure that you
Who loves
you
kitty?
see my
Look
butt.
at my butt.
I give you my butt. Look at the butt with the tail.
As you can see, we have special guest Dana Cole because she knows things.
As Isaiah Taylor is finally being a bit blocked now as he's singing Sir Mix-a-Lot or rapping Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Liking Sir Mix-a-Lot is the whitest thing you can do. Let's be honest.
No, I thought that was
I
Hilliard the Fish.
They'll maybe put on Avril Lavigne.
We're all being silly because Isaiah's our friend. Mm-hmm. And he actually does like Avril Lavigne too, and we'll mention every time that he mentions Canada or if someone mentions Canada as a word. Canada, Avril Lavigne. That's how it works in Isaiah's brain.
To be fair though, when I was growing up, I never really liked rap music, but I always liked that Green Day stuff. Green Day, that Green Day kind of music. I always liked that.
Semi pseudo punk pop.
Yep.
Pop
Right.
punk, yes. It's just pop punk. Let's be honest.
I would, and that's this again. We're talking about music already and literature and all that here, which is always kind of the contentious thing because people love their music. And hi, Comrade Abba, thank you. I love for coming in and walking in. We don't see you that often, but we always love to see you. Solidarity, love the solidarity, Comrade Abba, absolutely. And hey, Mithro, sorry that the UK has left the EU, but you have to deal with that. And hey, Joe McGlory, we saw you not that long ago as well. And hey, Emily Chambers, as it were. But music, people are so passionate about the music that they love, and so there's always
about Nickelback.
And yes, exactly. And so sometimes they get contentious. I will agree with you that the Green Day of is it punk or is it pop punk? It's more pop punk, but definitely it's Sum 41 or a Simple Plan is definitely more, or Good Charlotte, another example of a definite pop punk band or something like that. Blink-182 too, since they were super proper as well as too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So welcome to the Alchemy bench. Of course, me, Summer and the Geek, with the Jesus look now, as it were, instead of the dirty comic work. It's hey, I've showered today.
No pirate hats or Jesus. Anime hats.
White Jesus. White Jesus. Yeah.
I have to remember white Jesus because how can someone like that to live in the desert their entire life be as pale as hell as
he was a Palestinian Jew. He was not have been lily white like your Scottish ass.
No, well, after he rose from the dead, he then became white because he went to heaven. Where, yeah,
yes.
So he became white.
No, lich, as it were. I did actually ask my friend who plays a lot of Phasmophobia and does study kind of that lore of ghosts and stuff like that because they wish that ghosts are real, even though they know that ghosts are not real. But Jesus would be a lich, as it were, instead of a rat because he was not corporeal or some other.
He was corporeal, and he still had his wounds, is what it was.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
going by D&D
but
rules.
I mean, what was their guess at what his phylactery was in that case?
Mm-hmm.
Probably his foreskin. That's why there's so many copies of his foreskin floating around the world.
I was not aware that there were. I guess I've learned something today.
Like pieces of the true cross, you get a lot of Jesus foreskins.
What a beginning to this social justice alchemy!
I always thought it was like finger bones and such.
Oh, they do have those as well. We love bits and pieces of bone. But those bones are usually from saints because, of course, Jesus rose bodily into heaven.
Yes.
Does anyone pump gas in their car? Because I'm about to get a car maybe at the end of May. So when you finish pumping the gas, do you start the engine? Because I know it says you're not allowed to have the engine on when you're pumping the gas.
Yeah, you turn the car off, you put the gas in, take the pump out, close the gas tank, and then you turn the car back on.
Yes.
Isaiah, if you don't turn the car back on, you're going to be stuck at the gas station.
but turn the car back on.
You fill it up with gas and then you push it out of the gas station. Yeah.
No, it's like we'll see. I was never taught any of this stuff growing up. So when I see the because my mind immediately is going to like National Lampoon's Vacation, like goofiness. So I'm like, okay, so the gas in the car, it says don't start the engine. So do I just push this out of here?
No, okay. So once you're finished, look at pumping the gas. Hey, one thing also, I worked at a gas station, so this is how I know. When there is a thing, there's a latch there you can put it so that it will automatically start pumping, as it were. And then once it shuts itself off, do not pump any more gasoline in there, as it were. You can go ahead and shake the handle in case there's some residual gasoline in like the nozzle, as it were, sir. But like once it automatically shuts off, do not pump any more because there's a sensor in there that like will trigger that the thing as were, and that's the thing says it's pumping it more. If you try filling more, you're gonna like pump more gasoline in the tank and overflow it. So it's like, so please do not
the automatic shut off is meant to say the gas tank is full, don't put any more in. Don't try to quote unquote top it off.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So it then
Well, I remember. Sorry. Yeah. So I was pumping gas for my dad one time, and he put me in charge of pumping the gas in the car. I didn't know when to tell whether or not the gas was ready to be pumped into the car, so I took the nozzle out and just poured some of it on the ground to see if it was working.
I would have
Yes.
I would have hate you if you'd done that, because I had to then quickly, oh shit, I had to go run out there, get the get that spill,
The
that
gas
spill
spill cleanup kit, yeah.
It because like if it like runs off into the storm drain, as it were, it'll be an environmental hazard, as it were.
And you're not allowed to just light a match.
Honestly, even off into the lawn, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not allowed to light a match. So it's like there was one guy attempting to smoke a cigarette as he pumps gas. Then someone else stopped him, and like people were saying I should call the cops on like that drunk driver. And it's like, okay, yeah, I should. Okay, all cops are bad.
The anarchists have mixed feelings about the police.
Yes, exactly.
But speaking of police, there's like a gathering of police here going on in Florida. So
it's not a gathering.
Let me guess, they're protesting in favor of masks, and they want to have better pay for teachers, and they really are in favor of reducing our police presence in our cities and abolishing prisons.
I think they're just here to just basically like suck the dick of Governor DeSantis. Or suck the dick of Bull Connor.
They want to be on the election
Lord and
squad.
Savior Bull Connor.
They want to be on the election police, the election squad, to make sure there are fair and free elections, as it were, and make sure the proper people are voting, and to prevent voter fraud, as it were. And hey, Phoenix, how you doing? And hey, Lachano.
I just did a quick Google. Hey, Phoenix. I just did a quick Google. There's no news coming out about police protests today, so they must not have posted.
Not yet.
I wish someone would tell me I can't vote, and they it's like, dude, get out of my way. I'm gonna go cast my vote. Get the fuck out of my way.
Well, they're not going to be that blatant. I mean, not for another couple of years. They're still trying not to say the quiet part out loud.
Yes, exactly. There might be Proud Boys or like Oath Keepers, as it were, or like
just
kind of
Republicans.
or just Republicans. Yeah, just the fascists, as it were. Dana, hello. How you been?
Doing all right.
Good.
No threats about getting fired or trying to teach your students things they shouldn't learn. No CRT stuff. Have they banned your math
None
books?
that I'm not prepared for. I will say I don't have to worry about the math books.
Yes, that's right. Again, in Florida, Isaiah, Ron DeSantis is now on the math books, as it were. Why?
And Disney.
Okay. Disney, yes.
But see, I have to make a joke about it though, about this whole racist math book thing. So, for example, here's a racist math problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Jose
Officer
has 5
Lucius
apples.
Cornpone. No. Hold on. Officer Cletus Cornpone harasses 5 black men every hour on his shift. His shift is 7 hours long. How many black men will he harass at the end of his 7-hour shift? There you go. Racist math problem.
The world has 12 million Jews. The Nazis killed 6 million Jews. How many Jews are left?
would they? Hold on. If that was the problem that they pointed to, they would be okay with that problem, unless it's mentioned the Holocaust.
No, they would be okay with what Hitler did. They wouldn't be okay with acknowledging that it happened.
Yes,
no.
exactly.
I really do think it's just Jose has 6 apples. He gives 3 apples to Fauling, or something like that. And they just don't like that the math books have brown children in them.
Yeah, probably something as ridiculous as that.
And of course, they're probably also still complaining about Common Core.
Probably. So later on, will not join us because she's depressed, as it were. Because the elections are happening in France. This is the second round of it, as it were. As we mentioned,
the moment Macron is up 58-42.
Yes. So Macron. So the
the banker rather than the Nazi. So that's better.
It's
not
again,
as bad.
at least. Yes, again, the least worst option is winning currently up this round. That's where there were many options in the first round though, but so the liberal bullshit will continue. So we're so that's how it is right now.
When I watch some of the French elections, all I could help is just say, "Au contraire, mes soirs." I think Lita would hate
to
if
the
I
contrary,
said that to
my
her.
evenings.
I don't know. She would be the proper judge of of your French accent. She knows. She has a comment on my French accent is terrible. At least the one time
She thinks that the Quebecois don't speak French, so I think she's just kind of a purist in that sense.
Hey, Uncle Bacon, hello, how you
Hey,
doing? And thank you for subbing for my YouTube channel, as it were. I got to remember to post up to my videos up there as well. I have a lot of them ready to go. Yes, it's not as bad as the Nazi, so bad though. I agree. Yeah.
Has Dana been covering the trial of Margarine Tater Tot Green Bean lately?
I have not actually. I'm not particularly invested in it.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's your representative. She's representing you from Georgia.
And
I would think
she's actually a decent representative for the majority of Georgians. So, or white Georgians.
The white Georgians, yeah.
Well, not
white
people
Georgians.
from
Dana's
Atlanta.
here.
Not all white people.
Yes, hashtag not all white people. Exactly. But
I gotta admit, I'm kind of ambivalent about it because essentially this is the what they're looking at is whether she'll be allowed to run for re-election.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm guessing it's based on did she participate in the insurrection and therefore cannot be allowed to run in Congress because of the Civil War rule saying if you participate in an election you can't be in Congress. Is that what they're going?
If you participate in an insurrection, if you
Yes,
participate in an election,
Yeah,
you kind of have to do that.
100%. If you participate in an election, you cannot be in Congress.
Dang it! There goes the system.
No, that is the best Freudian slip ever.
So essentially, she's already got several competitors for the primaries. So, I mean,
she might not even be on the ballot.
Right
Hoping
in the
JJ
general. I mean, even if she's allowed to run, she might not end up being the one on the ballot.
I hope Stacey Abrams wins. I almost called her JJ Abrams by mistake, actually.
You and your Star Wars.
No. She's so much cooler than JJ Abrams.
She does not obsess over the mystery box. Come on. Yeah, and I agree. She's much cooler because not that big a fan of JJ Abrams films as it were, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not a high bar to cross, but yeah,
Yes.
she's cool. She's like, she's a Star Trek fan. She writes or has written. I don't know if she's kind of busy these days. She writes romance novels. She ran for governor, lost, and then started a political group to encourage people to vote. I'm like,
She helped turn Georgia's 2 Senate seats blue.
Yes.
I did too. One of them is now up for re-election. The one in the special election is now
the one
up
who
for
replaced
re-election.
what's his nuts.
I forgot what's
What was it? Isaacson?
I don't know that much about Georgia politics. I barely know the names of my 2 senators. Why would I know yours?
That sounds like band. That sounds like a band named Georgia Politics. It's like a country band. I got my
rockabilly.
finger in my pocket, gonna give me my change, gonna get it. That sounds like a country band, Georgia Politics.
Mhm.
Yeah, Reverend Warnock is the one who's up for election this term, and I'm just like, what? He's so awesome. Everybody got to vote for him. He's cool. He's great.
Oh,
I always called him Raphael Warlock.
No, he is not nearly as much of a nerd as Stacey Abrams is. So yeah, he's pretty straight laced.
I don't know if calling himself the Reverend Warlock. I mean, even more than being a black man would make sure that he didn't win in Georgia.
Yeah, especially if Brian Kent has anything to do with it as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Based off of the gubernatorial elections, as were. I don't know much about money the senators that are not my senators as it were and stuff like that. However, good news. I should confirm this as it were if this is true or not, because to be fair, I saw it in a Discord server, but I think it's true. I want to go back to Twitter to see if it's confirmed as were. But what's the guy's name? Come on, Orrin Hatch. I think is
Orrin Hatch from Utah.
Yes, the senator from Utah. I want to confirm that before.
Still around?
That's the news I heard. I heard that he died.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Former Senator Orrin Hatch died at 88. So there we go. One less Thugglican fascist white supremacist in the Senate, but it's going to be replaced by another one.
No, but he was. I thought he had already retired, hadn't he? He was a former senator.
Former senator. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he served until 2019. Yeah, that's why I wondered. That's why I already thought he was dead, because he hasn't been serving. But I will not spit on his grave quite as much as I would on the grave of South Carolina's longest-serving U.S. senator.
Strom Thurmond.
Strom Thurmond, racist, rapist, piece of shit, glad he's dead.
The guy who had a black mistress, but then he hated civil rights.
I wouldn't call her a mistress so much as a victim.
Yes,
because she worked for him. There. He was a U.S. senator in South Carolina. This was the mid-'50s. She couldn't say no.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the Me Too movement was a labor movement as well, because many of those coercions were because of hey, I go help your career or something like that, or I'm your manager, as that sort of thing. And
or I'm a U.S. senator and you're my black maid in South Carolina.
It was a lot funnier in Oklahoma when Ado Annie sang "I Can't Say No." Definitely a different spin on it there.
Different take. Yeah, I remember there was another song.
I can't say no because I want to say yes.
Yes.
Not quite the same thing we're talking about here. Alas.
Yeah. Yes. And then there was another song that I misunderstood the first time I heard it. The girl singing, "Was I drunk? Was he handsome? And did Mama give me hell? Was he rich? Did I say no?" I mean, things like that. And then I realized, those are the questions her friend is asking her the morning after. So it wasn't she wasn't asking herself because she couldn't remember. It was her friend saying, "Oh my God, was he drunk? Was he handsome? What'd your mama say?" Very different spin once I realized that's what was going on. How do you feel about Horace Mann? Do you have strong opinions, Dana?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know too much about him. Just know that he was part of the industrialization of education.
I'm much more of Vygotsky and Csikszentmihalyi, which I probably butchered that name, but in terms of
Guide on the Side.
I've been really thinking more about progress and motivation have been more of an issue. And then, of course, Horace Mann more for a perspective on the purpose of education in general. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's more something that I'm thinking about more recently as I'm working. Most of my students are sophomores. So a fair number of them, and more than previously, are getting their first jobs. And there's always been, at least as long as I've been teaching, there's always been questions about the purpose of college and university. And that's been an ongoing thing that the gen ed requirements, the liberal studies requirements before you go into your professional studies. And, you know, what good are they? What's the purpose of, you know, electives in philosophy? Or, you know, why do you need 2 math credits in college? You took math in high school, and if you're going to be an English teacher, you don't really need that.
And
And
too
really,
deeply into the anti-Semitic history of things like that.
well, not only that, but the idea that education, the purpose of public education,
liberal arts,
and a liberal the need for a liberal education for everyone is that you don't know what you don't know.
So you need a broad foundation so that you can go out there, and whatever you do,
and
you'll
even
have enough to
if
know.
you think you know, even if you think you know what you're going to do, you might change, but also having an understanding of all these other things is going to help you understand a broader variety of people, which will help you as you're interacting with, you know, employers, employees, clients, that sort of thing.
And also, there's the broad sort of the more patriotic thing, saying a good informed citizen needs to be able to understand public issues. There was a public spirit in that sense.
Yes,
I would argue
absolutely.
that I think the answer you just gave, you know, that broad foundation so that you can go out and do whatever you need to do in the public, is the answer I think almost every teacher who has given any thought to this would give.
But at the same time, I mean, people got to put food on the table. You know, people got to pay rent, mortgage, etc., utilities. And so I'm seeing more concern about that from my students who are just getting their first jobs.
Yeah.
Like literally yesterday, I was talking to a student
poorer
about
families, I take it, and they need to help pay the bills, that sort of thing.
Well, poorer than some. I'm not really like literally. I have a student in mind who said, you know, I wouldn't come if I didn't have to.
That's
and kid works at Sonic. He saved up enough. He bought a car. And right now, he's saving up enough so that he can, you know, get his own place when he's grown, and then he can get a real job. And so, like, it's all focused on. It's entirely focused on just sustaining yourself, on survival. It's all survival focused. I'm like, that is so depressing.
Yeah. Now, I've been thinking a bit about why so many teachers and so many students find education difficult, depressing, frustrating, not depressing, but frustrating. And I've been thinking that it's because the education system isn't set up by the teachers so much as it's set up by politicians, and they respond to the oligarchs rather than to the people, and therefore the education system is designed in practice not so much to fulfill those goals, but to funnel people into the roles that are deemed appropriate for them.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the challenge of public education, that, you know, that
we're all struggling against the system to try and achieve the goals we truly want for our students and what they want for themselves.
Sort of, you know, but for example, we know that repetition is incredibly effective in getting a message across, in making a message more palatable and more acceptable. It won't necessarily completely win you over, but it can shift perspective. And on a large
scale, just helps you remember these things.
On a large scale, if you shift a lot of people from like against, you know, definitely against a policy to moderately against a policy, and the group of people who are moderately against a policy to ambivalent, and from ambivalent to moderately positive, and from moderately positive to rapidly positive, if you can manage that on a large scale, which is what you know, oligarch controlled mass media can do, then you can affect serious policy change. And it's all done democratically, because ultimately public education, and I say this over and over again on social media, public education illustrates public values. We have the schools that we choose.
And on top of that, it's not just For me, it's a combination of capitalism and imperialism shaping our schools because, not just the Horace Mann model, industrialized, standardized, regimented, and they have to go at the same pace regardless. But also you have the Prussian model saying we need to inculcate them with patriotic values so that they can find their place in the empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's also like one of the that's like also one of the reasons why I don't really look up too many times to like autistic like people who are like really been successful because they've had like a lot of resources given their way, but then there's a lot of poor people who don't have those resources who are like forgotten and no one cares about them. So
can't remember.
Yeah, we definitely have. There's definitely a correlation. We tend to, and I think it's brought down from our Puritan work ethic. We equate success. There's a moral component that we associate with success. That if you are, and it does take hard work in order to be successful. I mean, if you have stuff given to you, you can mess around and still lose everything that was given to you. So you do have to put some work
surprisingly
in addition
difficult,
to having these additional opportunities. But yes, it's much more difficult to waste what you've been given.
It's
when
difficult to
you've been
work
given
your way up from nothing. It's difficult to fail your way down from wealth.
Yes, although I would say it's more difficult to work your way up from nothing.
Absolutely. If you're an Elon Musk type and you spend all your money on hookers and blow, that might actually be physically possible.
So I mean, but we tend to because while it may not be accurate, it allows us, it's a kind of a rosy glasses phenomenon. It allows us to think. It allows us to hope that if I work hard enough, then it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's just not always the case.
That is almost never the case. I think it was Michelle Alexander talking about the phenomenon of Barack Obama. Talking about how an exceptional black individual can clear the hurdles and then leave the hurdles in place.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
because that's what the Obama did. Is just like we thought that like yes we can and hope and change, and he was like our man in Washington as were, but like almost
the bankers
immediately
walked into the White House looking scared. They walked out looking happy.
Yeah. And it's so many different things, and I think there. So yeah, on Cord Johnson's podcast, The Mind of the Skeptical Leftist, he had the author on our man Obama about the Obama presidency and like how we were so disappointed by that. Phoenix has like expressed this publicly too as well. And that's like. It also seemed like just like what Biden has like now as well. Then again, I had no hope for like Biden to like be pulled left at some whatsoever.
He's
so
a
it's
communist.
just like
He's going to bring radical change.
Yeah, he voted against busing 19 times, and he wrote the like a crime bill and blah blah blah, and was like Obama's VP, and talked to Mitch McConnell every single time that there was like, and asked Mitch McConnell, "What do you need?" Always going to the Republicans to their side for what they need as were, and also like what's happening now is that like both Biden and Obama are not fighting their own party members as it were. Biden's not. I mean, according to the
I don't know how much power the president has to punish people like Manchin and Sinema. I wish he would do something though. At the very least, go out in public and call them dickbags.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he'll finally do something in August because hey, midterms. There'll be consequences if I don't do something as were, but we'll see.
The Dems are totally losing the House and probably the Senate.
Because
no, not the House. We have strong enough lead in the House. I'm definitely hoping that we can keep the Senate. I'm hoping we can keep the Senate, but we'll see.
I'm hoping.
I think
I'm
you're
hoping
being really
DeSantis
optimistic there. I agree with the hope, but.
But I'm pretty confident we'll keep the House. We have a pretty strong, even if we lose some seats there, like as far as numbers, we've got a pretty clear lead in the House.
If we lose,
I hope DeSantis loses. That's what I'm hoping for.
I hope DeSantis falls down an open manhole.
Yeah. I hope that we no longer deal with Ron DeSantis or Greg Abbott. But then again, the Republicans will put another person in those seats, as it were, if the voters allow to it.
Dude, Texas may go. Will Texas go blue? Because I think Beto O'Rourke running this time.
Yes, it is Beto O'Rourke again.
I hope
but
O'Rourke wins.
Texas
has a really significant blue population. It's gerrymandered all to hell. So even if you get a blue governor, you're probably still going to have a red House and Senate there.
Legislature,
exactly.
legislature.
If the Dems just lose one in the House of this midterms, that just means it's just a standard midterms. Whereas the party in power after a presidential
party in power
election,
almost always loses seats in the midterms. Yeah.
Exactly. So then it wouldn't be bad because it could have been a lot worse if that happens, and it'll be predictable essentially if that happens. Even though the redistricting has happened, as we're according to Robert Evans, who read a Nation article and mentioned this on Worst Year Ever podcast, is where yes, the redistricting happened, but they are now better. More or less in favor of Democrats, as were because the Republicans back in 2010 really gerrymandered the districts as best they can. They can't gerrymander them anymore, as were, or any worse. And so it's the voting might get a slightly better for the Democrats, which means if the Democrats do poorly in this midterms, they have only themselves to blame too, not ending the Senate filibuster because Manchin and Sinema didn't vote for it, and not be able to push through significant voting rights like they wanted to, which they need in order to win the election.
They did try to do the voting rights.
Yes, they did try.
It was Joe Manchin's own bill, I think, that got torpedoed. But
yeah.
Hello. The filibuster is actually a historical accident.
I call it.
It was not intended.
I call it Kristen Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's what I call her.
Somebody in the it was Mithril. Joe Manchin spelled like the big house and Cinema Sins. So
yes,
that is a highly online kind of comment, Mithril.
Yes, unfortunately, Mithril, you know that the IRS never does investigations to rich people. They had actually said it's just easier for us to audit poorer people because they won't.
All their audits are into poorer people.
They wouldn't hire the lawyers to fight against the audits and wouldn't drag them out in the courts for a long time before they even got a chance to get the money that they're looking for. It's easier to go after the poor people, unfortunately, because they'll just give up and it's okay, what do I have to pay? And to be fair to the IRS, also you can work with them a lot for a lot of different things. And if you're willing to say, I'm willing to pay, but how can we work it out? They'll work it out with you. They're severely understaffed though. They're severely understaffed and on their budget though.
And of course, the way we do taxes in the U.S. is fucked. I mean, we should just have the IRS look at your stuff and do it themselves, rather than have us do it and then the IRS double check.
I think the whole thing about taxes in America is that most Americans are very illiterate on how taxes work. So they're just okay, taxes. I'm just waiting to get my returns so I can buy this flat screen TV I want.
It's sometimes just easier for us to just withheld whatever I need, so that way I can get it back instead of no, I have to figure out how much I have to pay and then pay on tax day, as it were.
All your tax money is going to black people on welfare. That's where it's going.
And some people viscerally hate the idea of that, as it were. Even though mostly it's going to go to the military anyway, since the Democrats and Biden increased the Pentagon budget this year to the highest level it's been, the biggest increase ever historically. I think in terms of dollars.
He got a bigger increase than he asked for. Congress was extra generous.
I just wonder, how do those defense contractors go to bed knowing that they're killing a lot of people? I don't know.
Well, they go to bed on silk
they have
sheets.
really, really, really comfy sheets.
Mm-hmm. They go to bed on $5,000 mattresses and $2,000 sheets. They're fine.
Just like in The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which is a great movie everyone should see, as it were, you don't have to think about it at all. You just have to sit back, far away in the battlefield, and press the button. They don't have to worry about it whatsoever. And true for the drones pilots too. It's like a different thing if you're on the ground in Iraq, as it were, as opposed to like flying a plane and to like drop a missile and thinking that like, oh, I hit my target. No, you just hit a building.
Yeah, I had family. I had like extended white family members who were like, "You should join the military." It's like, nah, I'm cool.
Fun fact:
Fuck
I almost
that.
joined. I almost joined the military. I was far closer to joining the military than I should have been.
I
Army.
think you.
It's the only way to get out of poverty. I'm sure Dana
That's
has a number of students who are considering it.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And I have a number of students who have already done the signing up for benefits thing and going to college.
Yeah. Let's see. What else is there?
Yeah, I was there was another teacher whose class was in my room during my planning period, so I went to the library to get some stuff done, and there was a recruiter right over at this table talking to a student, and I'm just like,
No, don't worry. You
Yeah,
don't go to
I
war.
couldn't
You'll be
join
safe.
because like I'm a communist and I don't think they would like me too much.
oh, I'm just too old at this point, but
They did tell me that I was allowed to keep my long hair because I actually did have like long hair at the
Recruiters
time
always
when
lie. You would not have been allowed.
well, I was allowed to keep my long hair in a bag.
So he was honest about that. Okay.
That part he was
honest and kind of funny. That is pretty funny.
so I this is what I remember about their conversation, and the student said, I just don't understand why you can't have facial hair, because if you're out there and you're fighting somebody and it's this big guy with a mustache, it's just that intimidation factor. I'm just like, really?
I think
this is the point
someone
of
told me that
this is
someone would grab the hair, like it could. Someone
Okay.
could grab.
Well,
it
there
or
are
get-
2
I don't know.
points. This I actually know the answer to. 1, you are allowed to have a mustache. 2, the rule against facial hair is against facial hair that would prevent the effectiveness of a gas mask. So that's why no beards. I have several cousins in the military, so I've heard a lot about these things.
well. So this, I think he was talking to somebody from the National Guard, and the guy's like, oh well, we have a group of people who are getting together to petition for this, and and I'm just like, okay, that's nice. I'm just gonna sit over here and continue my lesson plans. And I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah, believe it or not, there are times the conversations not like that at my workplace. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut, and it's just gonna keep my mouth shut. Sometimes it'll come
Just
out to
keep
be.
swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Now
just keep
again,
swimming.
if they ask me how's my day going, then I'm gonna go launch into my elevator pitch. It's like, oh, I'm still thinking about like more ways to radicalize more people to join in the dismantling the white supremacist, cis hetero, patriarchal, ableist, settler, colonialist, imperialist, capitalism, and state that
Just keep going. That may be.
and also to bring out the and also to join in, have them all join in the socialist, communist, anarchist, workers' revolution. As Comrade Ibot said in the chat, as it were during our conversation, that climate change is going to come, and it's just going to happen. It's going to kill a lot of us before we can convert more people. So we need we have
Direct
tools
action now.
Revolution.
Looks like Dana has something she wants to say.
Sure, go ahead.
Just Random Geek, I just want to know, how long are the halls in your building?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, because let me tell you, I mean, walking
Putting up a
from
banner with
the
all that
office,
shit on it.
walking from the office to my classroom, generally I'll pass somebody, or I'll be walking beside. Good morning, and I'll say, well, it could be, it's early, there's still hope. And then I'm at my classroom. I mean, it's like that's the conversation I've got time for. It's like it's about 50 yards.
I try my best.
Of course, you talk a lot faster.
I
Remember,
also
his job doesn't involve talking to students. His job involves moving stuff around, so he can talk while doing his job about other things.
true.
Hey, Geek, when you said revolution, I started to say. Dun, 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 dun,
I said,
What's
yeah.
going on?
Well, when Geek mentioned, when you said revolution, Geek, that song came to my mind.
for revolution.
4 girls in really big hats.
Yes, for non-blonde.
The 90s was distinguished by its really weird hats. That was the defining feature. The 80s had hair. The 90s had hats.
The 90s put it up in a hat.
Let's see. Actually, that does bring up Revolution, as it were, because Dana.
You always bring up Revolution. You don't get to segue with that.
Yeah.
Come on.
True. I don't
That's
need
weak
to.
sauce.
It's true, but Dana over a year ago, when she and I were on Steve's conversation streams when Steve did them before he got burned out of them on them.
Mm-hmm.
Did bring a quote from James C. Scott, an anarchist and an anthropologist, who wrote 3 good books on about anarchism: 2 Cheers for Anarchism, the Act of Not to Be Governed, and how to see things as a state, as it were. I think that's the name of the 3 books. They're all on the Anarchist Library, so search James C. Scott on the Anarchist Library.
I already started Googling them. Yeah.
He does have this in this interview that I put in the YouTube live chat of Slack, does say how they get interested in anarchism. He used to choose about revolutions, and he did used to worship at the altar of Ho Chi Minh, Mao, and go to Turte, as it were. But I said, kill your heroes, as it were. But then he said, it dawned on me, of course, by looking more closely at them and then actually reading a tremendous amount about the French Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, that most revolutions end up installing a state that were more oppressive than the state that they had destroyed. So that's bracing. And yeah, so... And
that's
so
why my idea of revolution is not so much the violent one as trying to overthrow democracy. It's you can't do it from within. Direct action.
Yeah, see. Well, that's why there's other revolutions there's other movements I need to look more into myself, Rojava, as it were. That's part of I think on more of an unrest or uprising, because there was a war going on, so society was already collapsing around them as well, and they were coordinated with each other, as were many different groups coordinated with each other, but they formed mutual aid, as well as they were fighting the Turks and ISIS, as it were, so they're doing it to defend themselves, as well as just reforming a new society in the show of the Oath. I'm not sure about Ho Chi Minh. I have to look up Ho Chi Minh if
he was fighting a war against the U.S.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true too. And Vietnam was bombed in the Stone Age, and so there's that.
They're still finding ordnance. They still have to dig that shit out of the ground.
So Vietnam had to rebuild their society, as it were.
And Mao was also fighting a war, so.
True, yeah.
They did.
The protracted People's War, as were against Japanese imperialism, as well as the
Civil War against Chiang Kai-shek and a war against Japanese invaders. So,
as well as the Bolsheviks, is where that happened at World War I too, which is why the riots of the bread lines was had the mention of bread and peace, as it were.
Yeah, they had fight against the White Army, the Black Army, and the Germans.
Yes.
What about the Black Army?
I don't know as much as I should about the Russian Civil War there. October Revolution that took place in early November.
Yeah.
But there was the White Army was one communist army. I believe the Black Army, the Red Army was a communist army. The Black Army was another communist army, and the Red Army, the White Army was the counter-revolutionary army, I think.
Yeah, there's always counter-revolutionaries too.
The White Army was basically the aristocracy fighting back.
Okay, the Tsars, so that.
So his imperial troops basically, they're loyal to him or something.
Yeah, Nicholas II, as it were. Not a great guy. He finally was covered on Behind the Bastards. To finally to the question that Danny put to me, and I'll put to the
the Black Guards. The Black Army were anarchist factions in the Russian Civil War.
Ah, yes, the anarchists who were later jailed and thrown into gulags, but they were released when Peter Kropotkin died, so the anarchists can get to go to anarchist Santa's a funeral, as it were. But then we're going back into jail. Finally,
the anarchists weren't outlawed, I don't think, until after Kropotkin's death.
Until after the war, yes, until when the Bolsheviks took power, as it were. And yeah, the Bolsheviks that's why I'm not that big on left unity, or I just don't think it's like important to do. And define left unity.
Wow, I actually got that pretty much right. The
really
White
good
Army
person.
were the Tsarists, and the Red Army were the Bolsheviks, and the Black Army was other communists.
Okay, yeah. I
I
figured
am
that,
amazed
like,
I knew that much without having researched it and having had an American education.
you also did your own like reading on like revolutions after becoming a communist like me. A little bit, yeah. I did my reading of like the Bolsheviks by like Aaron Cookman and Emma Goldman's by Dissolutions for Russia Revolution. Need to read her second book, which was supposed to be one book. My first dissolution, the rest of the revolutions. And Comrade Ibot said, "I promise we won't jail and kill the anarchists again." Thank you, Comrade Ibot. Thank you. Who's like a Marxist-Leninist and not an anarchist, I guess. So that's the question too. Are we in favor of revolutions if that tends to like happen? Again, tends to happen because there's also still Giestas in Mexico, no, Zapatistas in Giestas, Mexico, where it's like I think they did an insurrection as well. They did fought against like the Mexican government as well in 1994, but since 1994 they got their independence as were. I'm sure it's a constant battle as it were, and like
Zapatistas are much older than 94.
That's when the revolution started, though, or their insurrection, or their battle against the Mexican government, as it were. But that's when they finally got like their own section of like land that they can call their own, as it were.
Yeah, they were founded in '83. They have.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I need to read more about like that timeline. I got like an article that I bookmarked and want to read on stream, as it were. I do know they make good coffee. Even Alex Jones says like, even though these are dirty, filthy communists, as it were, they make some really good coffee, and I recommend you all buy them coffee. Okay, Alex Jones, fuck you, but sure pointing people to like at least something as usable as like coffee, as opposed to your brain force, as it were. Made with soy. Hey, Limpy.
Tell me, what sort of colleagues do you encounter there at school, Dana? I know that for my time in school, it has generally been Democrats and to the left of that, with very rare Republicans, because I don't hang out with economists. What sort of mix do you get there in the high school area? You avoid talking about it? Your mic is off, just so you know.
Yep, just going over to click it. Honestly, we don't often talk about it directly. People kind of know, but they don't. They think I'm, bless their hearts, they think I'm a liberal in general. Again, because I'm.
You're not flying the red and black flag.
I would, but I'm not.
That's a good way to get fired in the U.S. Education system in Georgia.
Y'all, they don't know about the red. They don't know about the red and black flag. I do not. The only flags that I have in my room are the ones that are supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm. The ones we make our children swear Loath of Oilty to.
Yeah, the magic clock in the flag.
Okay, so fun fact: in our school, not only do we have the pledge to the American flag every day, which I do not make students recite.
Yeah,
you can't officially make them, but
they do. You can be disciplined if you make them do it and somebody complains, but you can make them do it. You just have to be prepared to face the consequences. Yeah. So, but I don't make them. I don't make them put their hands on their hearts. I don't make them recite. I don't make them stand up. I do require that they shut the heck up so that those who want to can. I think that's not unreasonable. And then, but at our school, not only do we have the pledge to the American flag, we also have the pledge to the Georgia flag, which I did not find out until my first day at school. And they did the pledge to the American flag, and they said, "Now turn to the Georgia flag." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they all started saying this thing, and I'm like,
"What the fuck is this?"
What?
Oh, I know.
What's this? I'm like, I don't know the words. Am I going to get in trouble? Because I'm not from Georgia. I'm like, I'm not from here. I don't know. Now I know it now.
Okay.
almost 2 decades later, I'm hearing
Okay, 2 decades, right? So that's because like I was going to bring up. That's right. Georgia, not that long ago, did finally change their state flag because before
Well, it's a surprisingly short oath.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the
and
Georgia
they're
flag
actually-
and the principles for which it stands: wisdom, justice, and moderation.
And however,
I thought the Georgia. I thought. Okay, sorry, Data.
they're actually going. There's a bill in the state legislature. I don't know if it's House or Senate, but they're going to add another. And I can't remember off the top of my head. I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. They're adding another virtue to their list. So it's going to be wisdom, justice, moderation, and then whatever this other one was. We can look it up later.
Mhm.
But I was like, oh, okay, kind of cool. So yeah,
I thought the Georgia anthem would be Georgia.
no.
No,
This
no,
is
that
the
was written by
pledge,
a black
not the
man.
song. Not the song.
Courage.
Yeah, they like get right to that too. Yes, again,
I
they can
said
have
Georgia. I'm
a
sorry.
pledge. A pledge
According
is
to the
different than
Atlanta
a song.
Journal-Constitution, they're adding courage to the pledge.
There we go. That's what it was. See, I remembered it. Once you said it, I was like, that sounds familiar. But yeah. So I do have a dress that is
Tell me it is the
it's-
Georgia state flag.
No. Oh no, that's not the flag, my dear. It's this beautiful diagonal duotone, red and black. I say nothing. I just wear it. I've got a pair of leggings that I wear it with and a pair of cute little black boots. I look adorable.
Well, again, as like someone mentioned, like they understand what the flags means. I was wearing this. Now, most people won't know this one.
Is that
This
your
is
Indian
the
flag?
This is the demi-non-binary flag. I have the other the flags as were because like I do have the trans flag, the non-binary flag, and the genderqueer flag as were. This one's a lesser known one as it were because demi-non-binary. I only looked this up when I found out that demi-gender was a thing. Demi-boy, demi-girl, demi-fluid, demi-flux as it were. But like a coworker at work looked at this and it thought, I like Ukraine, right?
Yeah, solidarity with Ukraine. It's like, yeah, that too. So
My
anyway,
question-
these were made by the art teacher.
Oh,
And
shit, that's
I-
going to get
I
you
bought
fired.
them.
You're not allowed to hand those out.
No. This one will not. This one will not. If you look at that,
Oh.
that's perfectly legit. However, I went back to her. I said, "Do you take commissions?" So I also bought a pair like this. So essentially, she can do the Sculpey up here and then have one that dangles from it. So I said, what I'd like is have a heart up here that and have the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple rainbow down here, and then the heart could be striped pink, white, and blue. And obviously, like what?
You're going to have to want to wear your hair down
The
and
art
forward
teacher
for
made them.
that.
I'm supporting the art department. They use this. This is a fundraiser so that they can purchase supplies.
Thing about Georgia is that there's nothing really to do in Georgia except Atlanta. Why pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag if there's not really much to do?
Hey,
Fashion.
we have Six Flags.
Yes, and the reason why that the theme park company is named Six Flags because Texas was under 6 different flags. Again, the borders crossed like the indigenous people, the borders crossed the Mexicans. So
yeah, we don't directly talk about politics a lot, because that kind of thing is going to get you fired.
yes.
So
Because a student will overhear
Yeah.
you advocating communism.
well, I mean, like I said, people know. I mean, I'm very cautious, but people know my leanings in general. But I had a student last semester, last semester, who said, I said, she's like, it's just difficult because I can't talk to people about what I believe. I said, well, we have a variety of different types of people here, and she's like, yeah, but I feel like I can tell this to you. That I'm an anarchist. And I'm just like, oh, honey. It's like
Occasionally, my
Welcome to the
students
club,
ask
dear.
me about my tattoo. Let's see if I can. Yep.
Sanctify.
yeah.
There it
I
is.
actually have I have a safety pin necklace that I wear, and so it's just black beads, and then the safety pins are the centerpiece, and I have like it's in lavalier style, so shorter safety pins, and then medium sized, and then a big one. I think there's like 7 of them total. And then on the largest safety pin, I actually have it hung backwards, and then there are 2 each of purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red beads on the pin, and then I super glued it shut. And so I wear it with the beads out. So it's pretty clearly, but it's also just you have to know, you know?
But my
I
students
gotta
ask me about
run,
this,
guys.
and I usually
I'll
just do...
talk to you guys next week.
Okay, see you next week.
Bye, Zayat.
Yeah.
Yeah, when my students
Bye.
ask me about
Bye,
it, I
Jada.
usually just do a long pause, and then I'm not going to tell you. Why not? It's political. And that usually says, oh, okay, I get it.
So on my door, I have this quote, and it's printed on a paper that also has like the faded image of like a passport book and an open passport book with stamps in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the quote is, "Education is the passport to the future, a lifelong opportunity to understand more and respect culture and traditions."
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
Wow, you radical.
I know. However, it's just the quote.
Oh, it doesn't list the person who said it.
No. No. No.
Remind me who said that, because I don't think I know.
Malcolm X.
Oh, okay.
And then also on my door, I have a photo of a rainbow that says, "Be kind." What do you object to? The rainbow is-
You're
I mean,
saying
be
that people
kind-
need to be
be kind
gay.
is
You're
important.
telling the kid you're teaching them to be gay.
No. I'm saying be kind, and remember, the rainbow is a symbol of God's promise. It's his covenant with us.
The
Anyway,
future-
it is 3:00. I actually need to be heading out too,
Okay,
guys.
that's fine.
Oh, okay.
But it was so good to talk to you. Thanks for having me
too.
on the show.
Yes.
No problem, no problem. We'll do this again, but like definitely far away in the future. We're not going to have you on regularly, so
That's okay.
yeah.
I need to get my grading done at some point
Oh.
eventually.
I love to teach.
great.
They pay me to grade.
Yeah,
Pretty much. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
And to keep my mouth shut.
Well, yes, it's like they.
I try, you guys. If
So-
they only understood all the things that I don't say, boy, they would really appreciate it.
Yes. So
Bye,
Dana
y'all.
Cole, bye all.
I did it.
That was Dana Cole of the YouTube channel Dana Cole Dares, and it is down in the description down below. Thank you, Tom, for putting in there. And I enjoyed the conversation as it
That was
were. But even though like we didn't get too much into our different opinions, but that's fine. It's okay to have a nice, friendly like conversation with her, and not just like go to blows about those sort of things. Much earlier in the chat, I did notice John Brockman, you posted like what's the dirtbag, the douche canoe, Scott Adams, the comic artist of Dilbert's, that pointed that number of times a real gun was pointed at me in my head. 5. I was like,
No, there was a
Okay.
whole long thread of him just spouting some bullshit. Talking like he's a black kid from Detroit from the 70s. Number of quote-unquote fights I've been in, 0. Number of times my car stereo has been stolen, 4. Number of times my home or garage has been burgled, 5. Number of times I have been assaulted at knife point, 2. Number of times someone stole more than $50,000 from me, 5 to 7 times. What the fuck is he doing that somebody's robbing him of $50,000? This dude is getting scammed left, right, and center. Homes in my neighborhood that have been targeted by smash and steal gangs in the past year, 2. Number of major auto accidents, 3. Number of incurable health issues I cured in myself, 3.
if you cure them, they're not incurable.
Oh no, he just knows better than the doctors.
You're a writer. You should know this.
Wait,
Oh, wait, you draw
this one is
comics.
great. Number of full days of vacation, no work, I have taken in the past 33 years. 5 or so.
Okay, yeah, there's some.
He's a fucking cartoonist. That is some bullshit. He means that he hasn't gone on a trip.
Right, or like he thought of an idea in the shower. That's work. Okay, I worked this today, so like that doesn't count as work.
This one is definitely a lie. Number of times I was disciplined by parents or teachers during childhood. 0.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Radical Bacon. Go ahead and ask your question about like data analysis, because
definitely, I know all about the data analysis.
Well, no, that Radical Bacon does that, as it were, and they can do that, they, them, another them, be, as it were. Or Dana Cole's pronouns are also they, them, but like not a non-binary person as far as I know. She can correct me. No, they can correct me if that's
thing to think about. The question that data analysis for good, I do not understand. Using data analysis for anarchist causes? Or commie causes?
Right. Yeah, like they asked me of like what kind of data analysis that they should do for like my agitprop, as it were, and I'm just like, shit, I didn't think about that, as it were. Scott is definitely terrible.
Yeah, he is a man.
Yes.
Data analysis for good. I mean, it's a lot better than the shit that Facebook is doing.
Well, that's so I'm just trying to think of like what questions do I want to basically I guess collect data so that like here you go, here's the evidence that like our policies are like better or something like that, or like our way of life is better, or it's like, or here's the data that shows you that you should be an anarchist essentially. But then you have to frame the question in order to find the data, as it were, or to analyze the data. That's difficult, as it were. Or something I would want to know, like doing agitprop, like if someone tells this political position, how likely is it that they're going to like be able to like change those political position? Like, is it better to go after like conservatives and try to radicalize them, or would they change their opinions on things if they're asked the right questions?
Kind of data analysis that you can use for direct action would be a good thing. Like when and where to go out and do various things. You know, how to best avoid police presence would be. Yeah. I don't know if that would. There's so much I don't know about data analysis that I wouldn't know. And also, you know, how to shift, like Geek said, public opinion in various ways, who best to target. I mean, there's probably a hell of a lot you could do. And Joe McClory, you're wrong. Data's the second best character.
Data's cat is the best character. It's like, I like Dilbert, as it were, but then again, I liked it before I worked at office job. And to be fair, I've never worked at office job. The place where I work, there are offices, but I don't work at that job, as it were. I have a desk, but now it's like moved into a workstation, which is kind of more accurate to what I do, because like, no, I put kits together. I sometimes answer emails, sometimes, but a lot of times I don't. And like I work with papers, but I don't really push them. It's part of like the greater things of like, here you go, assembly. You assemble these parts together to like make a final product to ship out, as it were.
Yeah, you're not pushing papers, you're filing orders and forms, I'm guessing.
Yes. Oh yes, I'm writing down like all these like numbers, and like this part comes from this number, and this is how many of these are. There's my signature. That's the sort of like
okay, yeah. Just for that, David, you are banned.
That was what started the Patreon hangout this morning on Steve's channel, that like Russell was like watched like the first Lord of the Rings and did not like it that much, and asked if he should watch it again or give it a chance, as it were. To which, of course, like to see Shives was like, you know, it's up to you if you're interested in watching it. It's going ahead. I forgot to say, listen, it's okay. Well, I did say it's okay not to like Lord of the Rings because it's not your thing.
I always found it really the driest fantasy ever.
Oh yes, exactly.
I mean, it is dry as Ben Shapiro's wife. I mean,
wife, the wet ass P word for female genitalia. It's unfortunately, it's kind of like, as someone else like brought up in the hangout, that like, for better or worse, Lord of the Rings is fundamental to fantasy, as it were.
Oh, it is. It was probably incredibly transformative. But
yes,
the fact is that like on TV tropes, this trope would be Seinfeld isn't funny.
Right.
The idea being
So-
that, people build on transformative works and they move and they change and they grow, and suddenly a thing that was incredibly original now looks really stale and boring. Like the
yeah.
original sandwich probably wasn't a very good sandwich.
That does make sense.
I did not hear about Jason Rees-Mogg.
So what did the sleeping PM do this time, as it were? I also noticed your other comment, Metro, about like what's going on in your neck of the woods. Like the UK press had a field day over Corbyn mouthing the words of the national anthem. He's an atheist who doesn't believe in the monarchy, and what's he supposed to do? And I guess I mean, our president didn't know the words to God bless America, so it's just that sort of thing. Who cares? It's just like.
Are you talking about the note that Jacob Rees-Mogg left for civil servants? Leaving notes on the desks of civil servants who are not in the office. The government efficiency minister is leading efforts for a quote-unquote rapid return of officials to their Whitehall desks after working from home became the norm. Everyone should work from home if at all possible, regardless, because fuck offices.
Yes.
In a letter to cabinet ministers this week, Rees-Mogg argued that the return to in-person working would bring the benefits of face-to-face collaborative working, as well as delivering wider benefits to the economy. On Friday, podcast producer Dino Sophos posted a picture on Twitter of an official-looking note, apparently authored by Rees-Mogg, who's also Minister for Brexit Opportunities. Wait, that's an official fucking post? Minister for Brexit God damn it. It read, "Sorry you were out when I visited. I look forward to seeing you in the office very soon. Wish every good wish." The alleged caused an exasperated response on social media, with some pointing out the officials may have been away from their desk briefly, like Rees-Mogg himself. Well done, Yahoo News. And that the WFH? No idea. Crackdown could prompt people to quit in favor of the private sector. Labour MP Chris Bryant wrote, "What a nasty, patronizing man he is." Now that is a very British insult.
Oh, yes. And I'm scrolling back to the chat earlier. Like, Comrade Ibot, I have not heard of the guerrilla warfare.
Wait, hold on. Well done, Joe McClory. The first sandwich was dull, but then a hero came along. David Skog, take some fucking notes.
So David Rees-Mogg, while he was out of the office, was telling the members of the government to go back to work in the office. And absolutely, John Brockman, offices is just for control. It's just absolutely for control.
Also, and remember that something like 50 to 75%, for half to 2/3, I think, of our jobs are complete bullshit that don't need to be done anyway.
Oh, yes.
So those jobs can definitely be done from home.
Yes, because David Graybird, like I mentioned, the two surveys that were done, one in the UK, one in the Netherlands, I think. It was 37% and 40%, according to the recipients. Are produced in surveys, and David Graeber's uncle drove an ambulance for the Spanish anarchists during Catalonia. During the Catalonian uprising during the Spanish Civil War, and that's what they did. They just all of those factories that unionized, most of them unionized, and they finally said okay, we're working to control this factory, workplace democracy, something like that. We all make decisions together. Do we really need account managers? And they said, okay, listen, you can work here in the factory or somewhere, or you can go off and find something else because we really don't need you. It's okay. Well, I don't know how many they just said, okay, and went off to do something else. But that's what they did. They got rid of all the bullshit jobs at those factories and the farms, as it were, and just keep it to what actually needs to be done, as it were. And I need to research this more, but I'm sure it's if there is a manager, as it were, the manager or supervisor or lead should be equals with everyone else. And it's just like the decisions like made democratically, or the manager's elected, as it were. If you can vote who's your manager, would you like vote for the guy who's the manager, or you vote for someone else, as it were? Or and also,
if democracy is so great, why don't we practice it in the workplace? The answer is democracy isn't so great. The liberals are lying.
Or the liberals don't want full democracy everywhere. They
want democracy for them, not for us.
Yes, they don't want to like
rights for me, not for thee.
Yes, they only want. They're okay with people having the illusion of control over voting, as it were, with the power of the vote, as it were. Which is why liberals like its election is almost like a holiday for them. Vote, 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 vote! Oh, it's voting time! It's a voting day, as it were. The first sandwich was like so wide, not reasoned and not seasoned and plain. I can see that. But it's like really hard to make very, very ripe bread too.
And according to Radical Bacon, Hillel the Elder, Jewish leader and rabbi who lived in Jerusalem in the time of King Herod, around 110 BC, first suggested eating bitter herbs inside unleavened matzah bread, which means that the Catholics ain't got nothing on Hillel when it comes to punishing yourself for no goddamn reason. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a magic spell kind of thing, or a purification ritual. That does not sound like food.
Yes, classic liberalism. Yeah, David Scott. Yeah, and it is sad though to hear that like 700 people died on Thursday from COVID in the UK. We don't even know our numbers now because like they stopped reporting, or the CDC stopped like accepting reports as well, because like it's unimportant to them, as it were. As Pennsylvania, I think it's Pennsylvania or it's like Philadelphia, one of the two. They're now they put back in mask restrictions when they lifted them, and so yeah. Some places are still like have the things like lifted, but like others like not. It's just like a thing, as it were. And I don't know what's going to happen there. Okay. One other thing I did want to like bring up as I did like share it, mention it, or advertise it, as it were. So in the Seattle area, let's see if this one. I want to be able to okay, that's not big enough. Okay, there's that link to change.org petition for card kingdom unionizing petition. Together we bargain, as it were. Just a quick detail. One thing is that like so Card Kingdom is a vendor for Magic Gathering cards, and as they're trading card games and other like board games and stuff like that. Yes, you're in the United States. And people, and this is interesting conversation happening.
Oh, come on. They're just coming right out and calling themselves cocks. Cock you. CKU.
Now, also, someone else pointed out like that, like banner or art for like the Card Kingdom Union looks like a 1970s like a TV logo, as it were. Welcome to KCU. Hey, CKU. Welcome to CKU News. Now it's time for the weather. But like so, design graphics is my passion. And now,
I thought you did data analysis. I'm so confused. How
no,
can you do two different things?
The Radical Bacon's one of those like talented people that can do like multiple things, a jack of all trades and stuff like that. Unfortunately, yes, people can have more than one talent. I know through like people there's some people like Steve Shives who have only one talent, making YouTube videos, as were. He's jealous when people have another talent.
I have no idea how he's going to retool the show, but
there's going to be Stuffy and Friends now, as it were. It's no longer Steve and Stuffy because some of the characters are like the characters that like Ashley had the stuffed animal sports, and Ashley cleared those characters too as well. So the honor to like that sort of thing, that's her characters or something like that. It's going to be with the stuffed animals that Steve still has access to, like Hans, which is my favorite one because like the Tom Brockman
says, "Dark and unchanging place." We all stare into the void.
I said Tom Brockman. I meant Tom McDonald, but I put in your last name for some reason because my mind works like that. Tom McDonald says Hans speaks to his depression, as it were. But also Hans is an artist, so that's why I love him as well as like the deeply like nihilistic and existentialist depression. Not existentialist, not nihilistic, as it were. But like it's going to be stuff in France, so they're going to be really killing it. It's just going to be, and there's going to be more characters that are going to come in eventually in later show. Steve is working with Dana Cole to like write that show too.
That was going to be my thought.
Yes, and they're going to like work on eventually. It's kind of like with writing. Writing is that you don't finish writing; the writing is just due, as it were.
You just added the deadline, yeah.
Yeah, Dana Cole actually said that too, as well, something like that. But back to Card Kingdom Union. So Magic the Gathering. There's like a Facebook group I'm in, Magic the Seattle, and as well because I live in the Seattle area, and it's just like, hey, I have these trades, or hey, this like thing, the event is going on. Hey, so someone posted this petition in there. The conversations are interesting. I'll just say that. Like I said on social media. I say, yeah, I'm all for this. Worker solidarity, comrades. And it's like, oh, what a way to be pro-Russian while Russia is like invading Ukraine right now. It's just like, I had not said, that's like a friend pointed out to me on Facebook that I forgot about or didn't learn. It's like, oh, comrade came from the French Revolution, which, of course, the French Revolution was inspired by the American Revolution. That's where Thomas Paine went over to France after the American Revolution. So, but there are a couple of people that like hate the idea because they're pros for businesses.
Comrade just means roommate.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. There were some people that were against like the unionization because like they've been in the unions before this war and have not great experiences. A lot of people that said that they're pro this war, but also there was some confusion there as someone because they thought it was like it's just retail. So it's Core Kingdoms and Cafe Mox up there on Ballard on this street or stuff like that. No. That's the thing about Card Kingdom. It's not mostly retail. That's like 20% staff. 80% is like warehouses and like offices, as it were, because like they also are an online vendor for Magic the Gathering, one of the biggest ones, as it were. Not the biggest, that's like TCG and then Star City, as it were, but they're up there of like Magic the Gathering vendors, as it were. And so the workers there are demanding for compensation of like a living wage. Oh, it's very expensive to live in Seattle. It's just very expensive to live in Seattle.
It's getting more expensive to live everywhere because of assholes like the Koch brothers buying up all properties and turning them into rental properties.
This is Seattle with like Jeff Bezos and like Bill Gates living here. So all those Seattle and all those Amazon and like Microsoft like coders and programmers into with their $2,000 a year jobs where that also allows them to be able to like play Magic the Gathering like Legacy and Vintage and blah blah blah. But also that does drag up the rents, as it were. I still don't know
was
what
that H Bomber guy.
A
3-hour video about Beastar to come out as gay. Sounds like
Beastar. I know. I don't know them if that is H Bomber guy, but I do know like a Beastar. It's an interesting anime. I didn't like it that much, but it was okay.
I remember this. It sounds like something I watched.
It was Beastar 3-hour videos were guys like this.
Yeah. But I never know whether it's Tovarish or Tovarish.
Mm-hmm.
They probably is pronounced differently in different languages. Keith. That doesn't sound familiar at all.
Okay.
So I know somebody talked about Beastar on my YouTube list.
Jesse Gender or like Zara said. I don't know who like talked about Beastar from my list, as it were. So I don't know. Beastar video.
I have so many YouTubers I follow at this point, and such a long history of watching their videos that I fucking don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, sometimes the Beastars like the videos that you give recommend to me.
All right, so how to pronounce Tovarish?
I see you're doing that. I'll
Tovarish.
remind of like a so.
Tovarish.
And I think I'll to bring up to the other point about the Card Kingdom unionizing as were because that was like the argument from some of the people that were against the idea of unions. Because if they unionize Card Kingdoms, the prices for the Magic the Gathering cards and other things are going to like go up. As it were, I want to say that like that's the argument against raising the minimum wage, but prices went up anyway since the minimum wage stayed
The
at
thing
like
is, prices don't go up and jobs don't go down.
Yes, exactly. But this goes on to another thing because like someone asked me is like, is like Wizard of the Coast going to like unionize, which is the company that makes Magic the Gathering cards and also now owns the rights to Dungeons and Dragons. So Hank on like Facebook also linked to this Wired article that I just posted and how just like the video game industry, the hobbies industry like tabletop RPGs and collectible card games as were they're trying to like take passion and grind you down and support you with like low paying jobs and like low compensation as it were.
Same with
or even
teachers and
freelance work.
nurses and every other job that matters.
Yes, exactly. Because there are some people that are trying to like unionize like those kind of like places like the tabletop RPGs, like a company called like Prize as it were. Because like the people who work there, because like people who work there only get paid like a $35,000 a year in hourly wages as it were, which is you really cannot live in Seattle off that salary as it were. That's a reason why I still live with my oldest brother, who's a liberal but cool, and my Trump supporter Gamergator younger brother, as were. I would love to live not with my Trump supporting Gamergator younger brother. We just don't talk politics. It's really for my sanity, as it were. But like, it's cheaper to live and split the rent for a 3-bedroom apartment 3 ways.
My roommate is my brother too. It's a thing.
We also always like live together because again, splitting the cost 3 ways is cheaper than like me paying for like internet, electricity, food, rent, and all those other things. Shelter, as it were, because like I still give a lot of money to like my friends in need. Reminder, as Phoenix was in the chat too, purpose still is. Hi, Phoenix. Charity links page down there below. Give Phoenix money. Give Joanna Roberts money.
Well said, Bacon. Monogamy in this economy? Nah. The only way to survive is to be part of a polycule.
Yeah. That's an idea, as it were, and especially since like everyone's so busy working 2 or 3 jobs. If one of your partners is not there for you, you have another partner to come to. I can definitely see the economic benefits of that, but also the loving benefits of that too, which is why I'm not opposed to polyamory, or at least poly-friendly. I'm like, if you're dating other people, great. It's awesome. Spread the love around. I can't imagine our SJA not talk about politics in any conversation. It's kind of hard to do.
He also talks about anime.
Yes.
But anime and Stardew Valley. I mean, God.
Yes.
They've got other interests.
I will say this, like I mentioned this on one of my, was it on my last stream on Twitch or like one of my last streams on Twitch? I did my second last stream on Twitch. Can you live with Trump support?
Come the revolution, we're all going to live in your murder house, David.
Satanic ritual house, get it right.
But have you found the skeletons yet? Because if you remove those and sanctify them and pour holy water everywhere, you'll probably be safe.
And we're coming in towards the end of the live stream because we're coming up to the 90-minute mark, and I still have not thanked our patrons. They're scrolling down below.
I kept on
thinking
about bringing that up several times, but you just kept on going.
I kept on talking too. We forgot to thank them last week too, but they're scrolling down at the bottom. Thank you to Marty, Flora, Illy, Tim, Joe. Thank you, Joe McClory in the chat. The Black Boys, this were Mehmet. I hope you're doing well. I hope you I understand that things are difficult for you. Just like please take care of yourself as it were. I'll try my best to take care of myself and not overwork myself as it were. And Von Rack, thank you, Von Rack, as it were, for giving us money. You have paid a few bills around here as it were, like the Zoom link and the Zoom service as it were, and also whatever extra money we give to like our friends in need as well, like Phoenix and like Joanna, whoever's in need right now.
Everyone should learn code. Not everyone is going to be good at coding, and if everyone's doing coding, then coding becomes, in our capitalist economy, worthless.
Yes, and that's what the right wingers don't understand, or maybe once you get them to acknowledge that, they'll agree to that, but they'll say, well, that's someone's problem if they don't have a job. You were suggesting that they go and code so that they could get a better job. Like, that's the one of the other arguments that was brought up against this unionization.
Have you tried not being poor?
That's kind of like it too. It's like, and it's like almost an entitlement of like is worth. No, you don't deserve to live in a mansion on like a McDonald's job or a retail job. Again, retail job, or it's like it's an entry level job or unskilled labor job. And it's like, oh, you condescending asshole. That's where. And again, I should have said this. Like, thankfully, in the Magic Saturday, it seems to be only like 3 people that are just like vocally against this, like 2 business owners, of course, class interests, and 1 economics major. I did
Fuck
say
you,
just
David.
like,
Thinking is for the rich.
like, no, critical thinking is the word. Critical thinking is the word. We should all practice critical thinking. As well,
definitely not for the rich. If they learned critical thinking, they would despise themselves.
You say that's a bad thing. I want the rich to despise themselves. Maybe they'll change. I don't know if any rich people just like they say just like I will choose not to be rich at all, give away my assets and money. I don't know if anyone's ever done that. That's where, yeah, exactly, Metro. I hate the unskilled labor thing.
It's all skilled. It's just not rich people skills.
It's several, but like many people have like either brought up like their concerns and considerations, but many have like said full support of like the unionization, and also the one was like going on because they worked in the union, worked in retail unions, and have criticisms of that unions, and so fair to like criticize unions of how they're structured, or like cooperatives. That's where I has a friend that worked in a cooperative, and like it has this criticism for the cooperatives. But it's fine to criticize these things as well. I'm still in favor of unionizing because I want workplace democracy. I want every places to be unionized as it were.
We have strong unions. We can fight back. And strong disagree, Radical Bacon. Critical thinking and coding don't go hand in hand. Otherwise, NFTs would not exist.
And Radical Bacon, there are several like broke programmers too that are like,
remember,
far right.
Elon Musk. No, he was bad at programming, so that's not a good example.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. There you go.
I was already inclined towards the critical thinking, so yeah, it's like now there's a lot of trans women that are also coders, and the trans women who are coding don't seem to be like as terrible. There are some trans women that are terrible.
Are they coded feminine? Is that what you're saying? Mithril, fucking what?
What?
Suggesting ballet dancers become... I'm guessing that ballet dancers don't get paid well. Elon Musk thought he could code.
That's an important distinction there.
It turns out that the PayPal, he didn't program PayPal well. All his work had to be deleted. He is not a self-made man. He's a piece of shit. And everything he touches is shit.
I think Mark Zuckerberg knows like how to do 1 or 2 kind of coding. But
I
like,
think Mark
others were doing
Zuckerberg
a
was
lot
competent at coding once upon a time, but I think Facebook has grown so far beyond what one person can do.
Yes. Exactly.
He was able to use some coding stuff to basically download all of the information off of Harvard's student database and collate it and put it into a readable format to make the Facebook.
And again, that database, he was like, he stole as he broke into the dean's office to get those like pictures of the like.
And basically, it was hotornot.com.
Yes,
as far as he was concerned.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Radical Bacon, for joining the Discord. I saw the notification there as well. I forgot to post that like we were live in the Discord too. So like, but I think most of the people that were alive and online on the Discord is also here in the live chat as well. So it's like, Tesla
Bacon,
doesn't do well.
Most cars don't do well in the snow.
You got.
I had a 4-wheel drive car, and I still slid in the snow.
Yeah, it's just like, but anyway, so we're up to 90-minute mark. That's where,
Indeed we are.
yeah, I could continue talking, but like I got to do work as a word. John Brockman's got to walk the dog and like go to the gym. So, and there's the John Brockman Penny Salsa. So quickly, a reminder as a word that I'm Summer Running Geek, Summer Running Geek on Twitch, Summer Running Geek on YouTube, and Summer Running Geek on Twitter. At least I'm posting tweets up there, so you can follow me there to like see some interactions. As we're YouTube, I should post more videos on YouTube and Twitch. Who knows if maybe I'll stream tonight. I can like do like 4 or 5 hours of work and come in and at home at like 8 and 9:30 and do a short stream on like Sunday night. So like I can probably do that. But who knows? So but keep on those spaces as we're at for that sort of thing. The original computers did the calculations that were annoying to be done and were overly done by women going way back. Exactly, Emily Chambers. So that's why it was like a underpaid job, a poor job.
What a tiny orange cat.
My niece's boyfriend works at a Tesla factory. I feel so sorry for our niece's boyfriend. Like,
Your niece's boyfriend is being abused.
Yes, exactly. Because fuck Elon Musk, he wanted to keep his like Tesla factories open during the pandemic. Probably still does as well. So yeah, don't forget to share the links to that page is like down below as well. Give Joanna money, give Phoenix money, especially in months is like hard for both of them. And John Brockman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Yes, Dungeons and Debacles. We haven't been able to record in a couple of weeks. You know, one person got sick and another person had a death in the family. So you know, we've taken a 2-week hiatus, but hopefully next week we'll be able to get that total party kill, the TPK that Kevin is so hoping to give us. All right, and with that, I guess we are out of here.
Don't forget to practice like self-care, hydrate, medicate, masturbate if you want to, rest if you need to. Take care, everyone.
And breasts if you need to. All right.
Oh
See you
yes,
later,
yes.
everybody.